Hello girls! So I wanted to do a video about my college experience, and I think I'm going to do a video on how to get into college and the second video on my college experience. Now, my college experience I think is a little bit different just because the school I went to was a little bit more hardcore. For you guys who know or didn't know, I went to Duke University and kind of a recent graduate, and I wanted to give you guys my honest opinion about my experience in college. I knew that I wanted to go to a school where I could connect with people who are very ambitious, and I think that is kind of a reason why people should go to prestigious colleges. Yes, I mean, of course the stuff you learned is a little bit different, you think a little bit differently, but I think the main reason why it's so great to go to a good school is because you just meet people who are just so fucking great at everything, really. So I went to Duke because it has a college, like a pretty normal college atmosphere, not pretty normal, but for the intensity of its academics, it also has, a good social life. It's really warm, and the student body is diverse, and people party, so like a very work hard, play hard scene. I had different options in which I communicated in my college essay. I wanted to be a gynecologist at one point. I've always been like in my entire life, I've always been into women's empowerment for some reason. I don't know why. I think it's because I grew up watching Oprah and she has inspired me to do things to empower women. So when I was 18 years old, I was like, going to enter 17. When I was applying to college when I was 17, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I wanted to be a gynecologist so I could work overseas and help deliver babies, okay? Or I wanted to be a dermatologist because my whole acne issue. I wanted to really help people with their acne, because once I realized, people are confident about themselves, they can go so far, but it's just that first leap of faith of really being confident, empowering them, so that's kind of the two aspects I wanted to go, but they were both medically related, right? I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never wanted to be a lawyer. I never wanted to go into business. I never wanted to do any of that. Like, I had no idea what that stuff was. And so that's what I communicated in my college essays, and Duke has one of the best, pre-med and medical programs, which is why I decided to enroll in this school. So once I got there, I took a few classes and realized that, I have a very hard time remembering long, detailed processes of things. I can't do it. Like, my mind is very intuitive. I'm a very intuitive person. I'm a very intuitive learner. So being able to memorize stuff is a challenge for me. Like, learning Chinese was the hardest struggle at Duke there, because I just couldn't remember all the little lines and how to pronounce things and how to make sentence structures and all that. In biology, I couldn't remember like what cells go into where and what they're called and how to, make organic compounds and all that stuff. I realized my mind doesn't work that way. And so basically my grades first semester weren't good enough to get into a med school. And then I just realized, the more I learned about it, that it probably, medicine isn't probably the right track for me, because I feel like I'm more of a creative person. I'm a very visionary kind of person. I have a vision and I like to kind of see it in a tangible form. So with medicine, I think you're a little bit more limited to that, because it's kind of like solving a problem to a solution. It's not like solving a problem to a solution. No, solving a solution to a problem. It's not like, oh, I have a vision, I'm going to go for it. So then I was like, okay, businessy, whatever. And I liked economics. I took my class. I mean, I didn't do super well in it, but I liked it because with economics, you have an intuition of how something is going. So when you increase the price of something, of course, people will buy less of it, right? Like, there's just this kind of this knack you have for how the graph will move and how how the answer is supposed to be. And so because I liked that and I had that intuition for it, economics came to me a lot easier than microbiology. So I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I did study economics, and that, required, calculus, up to calculus level 3, econometrics, statistics, all that kind of stuff. So, I did that, and I am going on a tangent. What should I go talk about? Did that, and I also studied psychology, and I really like psychology, but I had actually problems performing on the exams because I just couldn't remember things. I guess I have a really hard time with remembering really long, detailed processes, and psychology is somewhat like that, but not all like that. Anyway, anyways, graduated college. I did okay. I didn't do like super well, but I did, well enough to land a job in a pretty prestigious job after college. Oh, let me start off with the pros of my college experience. One of the pros is I was able to work with really, really smart, ambitious, talented people. And I think if you're going to a prestigious school, if your parents or you want to fork out that tuition money, it's not necessarily, they're forking that out so you can learn calculus differently than other people at, a public school. It's that environment that you're exposed to and the people you're exposed to, and just being able to see how successful people work and how they manage their time and what they do to get to where they are. And having that network, I think, is really what you're paying for. So when you're surrounding yourself with 6,000 students in a 1 mile radius, not even 1 mile radius, I mean everyone lives probably like half a mile from one another, it's very intense. You eat with them, you sleep with them, like literally sleep in the same room as them, or sleep with them. You eat with them, sleep with them, play with them, study with them, everything with them, and it is very, intense, and it is kind of stressful. It is a very stressful environment. It's like you're putting yourself in a pressure cooker. So I think the thing that made Duke especially stressful is not necessarily academically, that was one part, but it was, there's just so much social pressure, the way you look, like, are you skinny enough? That was a huge problem. There are a lot of eating disorders. There are people working out all the time. And then also are you dating the right guy in the right social scene? Are you hanging out with the right people? There's just kind of a lot of stuff that you kind of encounter. Like, I came from a public high school in Minnesota. I had no idea what the world was like outside of my bubble, and then you go there and it's just so different because there's people who have so much money and there's people who have no money, and people who are very, very well connected and rich and people who aren't, and it's just, you're dealing with all that kind of stuff at once, and seeing how the world works and everything. So yeah, it was stressful in that sense, but I do think, learning how to deal with that stress and learning how to deal with failure and learning how to deal with not being good enough really helped me in that sense, because I obviously didn't ace every single exam. I obviously wasn't the most popular girl in school. Like, nobody really knew who I was, basically, because I was always like studying and always like getting my shit together. But realizing that that's okay, I think really helped me, for someone who's very type A overachiever, to, learning how to fail at an exam and recover right back up and, get an A- in that class. I think that is what really I got from my education, learning how to work with the people around me, learning how to fail, learning how to push myself in every single way. I overloaded almost every single semester, so I graduated early with, graduated early with like 2 degrees, so it was, it was a great experience. It was definitely a good experience in terms of knowing what I could do. And when I graduated, I thought I could conquer the world, which is definitely not a bad kind of attitude to have in your life or whatever. Other things about my college experience, I had a relationship with someone, but not from the same school. But I didn't really date in college. I didn't really do the normal stuff in college because you're just so darn busy. And, when you study for an exam, it's not like you just study it the night before and, get an A on it. You have to really study weeks in advance and do that adequate studying every single day and all that. I'm so glad that, at my experience at Duke, I found a lot of really great, amazing friends that I'll hold on to for the rest of my life, and I think that is the reason why I, did well there and succeeded there. I do know, people who do go to schools, they don't have that social network, and that is really difficult to be happy and to be successful, especially when a school is very intense and competitive. People do leave, people do take leaves of absence, and people do, drop out because they don't know how to, they just haven't found a good social group, or they just haven't found a way to deal with all the pressures around them, because there is a lot of pressure. It's a huge pressure cooker. But I mean, you know, I am glad I went there. I am glad that, you know, I did study what I studied. I feel like when I say I went to Duke, I think people look at me in a different light, which, you know, can be, I guess, good or bad, but, you know, I think they take me a little bit more seriously, since I'm like making YouTube videos, right? You know, people take me a little bit more seriously. You know, I am intelligent. I work very, very hard at what I do, learn how to compete out there and all that. And yeah, it's been a really, really great experience. But I also think, you know, people do need to realize that it's not all what you see in the nice brick walls. You know, it's not all that. It is difficult. You know, you're gonna go through lots of struggle and emotional pain and turmoil there. Like, it's not all easy breezy, you know, like there's a huge, it's not all easy breezy. And I think it's good to speak out about that, because when you say everything's easy and breezy, people just have this, they don't speak out when they have problems or issues, and you know, people commit suicide, or have no one to talk to and then commit to drugs, or you know, commit to just really not productive ways of coping and dealing with the stress and the stuff that they have to deal with, and you know, over to, you know, bad behaviors. So I will say, you know, it's not all like rosy and fun and games, but you know, there's going to be really difficult times. There's going to be times where you're just completely lost at where you are in your life and what you want to do. But you know, the important thing is to be strong and to find that social network. And honestly, if you feel like leaving, like, just take a semester off, you know, try to get things back up and on the ground, because it's really not your fault. I really think a lot of people do struggle times at that school, or at any school that is of that caliber, of any college really. When you're far away from home, you know, people are counting on you to do well, and you just really have no idea what you want to do at 18, 19 years old. People are paying money for you to be there. You're really working your ass off in whatever classes you're taking, but you're not exactly sure what you want to do. Like, there's just so many different factors in that. And I think people need to just realize that it's okay. It's not the end all be all, you know, of your life. So I will see you guys later, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!